morning, everyone. So, ethics paper. Now, have you studied your other GS papers? And whether you have appeared in prelims at least once? Not yet. Some people have appeared. So, anyone who is expected to write mains this time? So, let's come directly to already things, basic things you know. So, are you familiar with syllabus? Have you read syllabus? Certainly, you may have read syllabus. No. So, syllabus has this following categorization. Let's say we say ethics. I guess कि ethics है human interface. Which has its various other dimensions. Then we have aptitude and foundational values. Attitude, and application. So smallest syllabus among all syllabus. This is how in fact. Whatever the GS papers we have, ethics paper remains very small in terms of number of topics. So when we let's understand syllabus, this ethics in human interface is nothing but basically deals with the core philosophy. The core philosophy means some philosophical, let's say that perspectives will talk, which we also say as normative theories. This plus it has also other topics like human values and ethics in public and private relations, that aspect. So this so largely it is influenced by a subject called philosophy. This in fact ethics as subject, if you talk, so it belongs to the field of philosophy. This if you try to relate with any subject, ethics, it will be philosophy you can consider. So there should be a bit philosophical orientation. That is main aspect called ethical orientation. The main aspect of this paper is ethical orientation. Like say that you may study any GS paper, you may try to solve any problem from economic perspective, from political science perspective, from let's say societal perspective, but what is ethical perspective? Yes, it is new for you. Simply because let's say that we have not been taught, means you have not been taught ethics at graduation level, still we have not introduced this subject at graduation level. The subject remains new. You may have got here and there some idea about moral values, civic aspects, this and that, but as far as ethics in terms of subject is concerned, so it is just you are trying to study in UPSC, isn't it? So, what should be the ethical orientation? That remains the most important concern. When you write your, let's say, key answers, or when you think, when you try to solve, so any such question, because largely we try to follow law in case of polity section and economy, let's say, in case of GS paper 3 section. That way we can say. So that, let's say, understanding them will give you this idea about ethical orientation. What is the ethical perspective? This. Then let's say that in addition to that ethical perspective, you know that we have to deal with the question comes whether we have ability and we do not adhere to ethics, or we do not have ability and that's why we do not adhere to ethics, isn't it? If simple question is asked why ethics is not adhered in society, does it mean we as a human, so we cannot adhere to ethical standards, we lack ability, or we have ability but due to other factors we do not adhere? It can be both. A civil servant today, if you are asked that what you will do as a civil servant, you say lots of things, but in day-to-day life what civil servants do, you know that. Not all, but some of them. So whether they lack ability or they have ability but they are not adhering. So basically let's say that this topic will teach you theoretical aspect of ethics. What are ethical standards? But to adhere those ethical standards, there are many, let's say that hurdles and challenges which would be dealt by other topics. So aptitude will basically talk about ability, the ability factor, this, and that will give you a bit understanding about ability, this, because aptitude deals with human potential, future potential, or ability to do any task, ability to perform, that aspect. Now, after aptitude, you know that it is also attitude which comes into picture. Right. So, attitude is your orientation in relation to anything, your reaction, isn't it? Let's say, do you have a positive attitude towards ethics? No, ethics, yes, ethics can be adhered. Or you have developed a negative attitude towards ethics? No, ethics cannot be adhered. Do you have a positive attitude that corruption can be tackled? Or you have a negative attitude that no, corruption cannot be tackled? This. Do you have a positive attitude that yes, we can solve the problems of society? Or do you have a negative attitude that why I should solve the problem? Isn't it? So it is your orientation. Yes. So your attitude, whatever the attitude you have, it depends on the way you have been brought up. The way you have been, let's say that grown up so far, and the environment in which you live, and your own level of knowledge and understanding. The different people in our society have different attitudes, and social media is, you know, that key reflection of attitude of our society. Right? So by going to social media, you can see that how people react. This. So even if people know philosophy, people know ethics, but they will discredit ethics. They discredit ethics. They discredit fairness, justice. Judges are being trolled, right, for their judgments, isn't it? So people have attitude of different types, you can consider. People know, people say, these philosophers, they will say librando. This, because all the philosophers will be liberals, right? Rational, another name of rationality is liberal. This. So liberals, and nowadays social media says them as librando. This. So attitude can become a barrier in adherence to ethics. Even if, let's say that people know this ethical aspect, so we will deal about attitude as also when we'll take those topics. That is how, let's say, attitude. Then it comes emotions. Emotions, let's say that. No. People feel hurt, and when they feel hurt, they hurt other people. And then they feel relieved. ये भी कैसा है emotion, isn't it? कि when we feel hurt, some people hurt other, and then they feel relieved. This, not all people, but this is how it is. So when you hurt other people, then you feel relieved. Yes, emotions. Right. Like many cases have happened, and in which, let's say, people say that unless the culprit should be given that sentence, it will not give shanti to my dil, isn't it? The dil ko shanti nahi milegi. Yes. So my heart will not be relieved unless, let's say, that culprit is given that sentence. Once the culprit is given that sentence, your heart is relieved. Emotions. This. So basically we'll deal with emotions also. Let's see what the topics are basically. So basically I draw my human. In the first class itself I am drawing this. See, ethics here will teach that this topic will teach that ethics is about human conduct. It is about human character and conduct. And this person is a human. This. So ethics will tell this chapter will tell that how you should behave. This how you should behave. This. The how you should behave, that is how ethics will teach you. So by understanding normative theories, you will understand that how humans should behave. Now, human has to follow those philosophies. So when human has to follow those philosophies, this human has aptitude. This human has attitude, and this human has emotional, and they will also influence somehow, in a way they will facilitate ethical conduct or unethical conduct. This. So merely you are taught ethics, that will not result into ethical conduct. ऐसा होता है तो वन IPS officer should not go for, you know it, isn't it? Once you have become IAS, still you are trying to copy in UPSC examination. कॉलेज का तो एग्जाम था नहीं, isn't it? So you copy, let's say that. So, and what paper, which paper you are copying? This ethics paper. This. So that is how you can say. So merely knowing ethics will not result that you behave in ethical fashion. Right. It depends on aptitude, attitude, emotional intelligence. Means it depends on nature of that human, which type of person a human is, which type of person you are. This. It means if you want to inculcate ethics in you, we should also bring change in attitude, emotional intelligence. Aptitude is difficult to change, isn't it? If you want to make people ethical, you have to change their emotional. Emotion means emotional intelligence. You have to change their attitude. This. And if you change their attitude and emotional intelligence, possibility is that they will themselves adhere to ethical standards. This, that way. So they deal with also human behavior. That's why it is part of the syllabus. Largely, let's say that if you talk the core aspect means कि such topics belong to, they belong to basically field of psychology. This. Because it is the psychology which teaches aptitude, attitude and emotional intelligence, and from there it has been derived. This. Because psychology teaches how to understand human behavior. This. Although we cannot purely, let's say, have watertight separation just to understand it, there can be a bit of sociology also. We cannot, let's say, that discriminate sociology. So sociology can also be part of this society, attitude that we have acquired, that you can consider. Now, finally, let's say that we have mentioned the two topics under one head. Right. Civil services and let's say that civil services values and probity in governance. They directly deal with the field you want to join. This. Why they deal with? Because ultimately, whatever you are learning, you have to apply in this situation. You are a civil servant, or you are going to be a civil servant. So when you are going to be a civil servant, largely you have to apply in the context of civil services. Right. You will not be taught corporate ethics, you will not be taught corporate culture, you will be taught civil services culture, bureaucratic culture. Since we have to apply in that context, that's why there are two separate, let's say, chapters related to that. So it is nothing but this, let's say that facilitate ethical or unethical conduct, and then it is the application I will say. So application here, let's say that. So whatever we learn in these four chapters, we apply them. This 1 to 4, let's say that. Whatever we learn in 1 to 4, we apply them. This, like how you will apply Kant in civil services, how you will apply utilitarian philosophy in civil services, how you will apply theory of justice in civil services or in societal context. So once this question was also asked, John Rawls, and in societal context, you should know that, this social justice. So basically this nature we have to understand, that application part, and that is how, let's say that this, the two chapters related to this. Then let's say this moral and philosophical thinkers, they are nothing but, let's say, they belong to this, they belong to the philosophy itself, although they have mentioned separately. Why they have mentioned separately that not all have given philosophies, although they may be popular, let's say that. Not all may talk philosophy in a theoretical sense although they may be popular. Like say कि Abraham Lincoln, the 2 times they have asked Abraham Lincoln, but Abraham Lincoln has not given any philosophy or philosophical theory. Kant talks about a theory, utilitarian talks about a theory, but Abraham Lincoln does not have a theory, let's say this. So because of that, let's say that we have another topic called moral and philosophical thinkers from India and world. This. So syllabus if you take, so it is neither philosophy nor political science nor public administration nor let's say psychology, anything. Ethics is ethics, that is how we know that. Ethics is a subject which is interplay of almost all the subjects. In a way, it is also interplay of your first three, let's say, GS papers. Whatever you learn in first three papers, in a way you try to apply them in this paper. This, like you can learn e-governance in paper second, and you can apply that e-governance in paper 4. Because you do not teach e-governance the way e-governance is taught in paper second, it is presumed that you will be able to yourself apply e-governance. This. Similarly, any program and scheme is not taught in this paper, because program and scheme you may have studied in first, second and third chapter, let's say papers. Once they ask program and scheme, say related question on a Swachh Bharat mission. The how Swachh Bharat mission can be applied in, let's say, social situation. This. So that kind of questions they have asked. So it is in a way to understand the syllabus that syllabus broadly consists of 2 parts. One, that you have to know about the theory or the concept, and second, you have to know about application. This is the very simple or basic aspect. This. So concept and application if you find. Now, so it will be different from other 3 papers. This. Because in other 3 papers, concepts are less. This, because they are not, let's say, those pure theoretical type. They are more, let's say, that whatever the subjects you have. The concept, everything has a concept, let's say. Suppose a question asks like means and ends. Relationship, once they ask the question. So suppose a question is asked related to means and ends type, right? Or let's say that politics use people as means to achieve their ends. It means it is indicating that you should relate with a bit of means and ends theoretical explanations that we have. This. So means and ends, they have the theoretical explanations which are given by, let's say, deontology and teleology. This. So that can be the conceptual part, you can say that first. Second, in concept, let's say that they ask, first is called definition. They ask definition. Then they ask that you write, explain by this examples. They say you show the relevance. This is one nature of the question from concept side. So largely you will find that this paper, what do you understand by emotional intelligence? This, that way question. So concept, let's say that most of the question will deal with definition part. Then they will say also write examples. They will say show the relevance. That also they will tell this. Then in concept part, let's say that they can ask questions related to theories, let's say that. As I told about means and ends. Means and ends, or let's say that this, any other theory like say John Rawls. This. Then philosophy, etc. Let's say quotes, generally they ask. The 3 quotes which are asked, like in quotes itself you can have concept. This. Then application part will tell that applied situation. See, gradually you will find out that the nature of paper has become applied. This. It is less theoretical, more applied in nature. This. And when it has become more applied in nature, because if you find that the theoretical components, if you analyze yourself, the theoretical component in the question, the applied component in the question, so you have more applied component rather than theoretical component. This. Even if a question which is pure based on concept or definition, still it says what are those examples and relevance. It makes that question, let's say, it becomes applied. This. John Rawls, they have not asked what is social justice. They ask in the context of social justice. This again, it is applied. You have to know the John Rawls idea of social justice. Then you have to apply it, that context. And when we say, let's say that this quotes, any quote, they read the instruction in that quote. What did they say that? Read. Explain their relevance in present context. This. They say that the relevance of those philosophers, they say these are the following are the quotes of great philosophers and explain their relevance in present context. This. Now let's say when quotes they ask and you have to write in the present context. So let's say that I will take, let's say, a simple question. The world has enough for means, the world has enough for needs, not for greeds. Question one says? No. This. So now let's say that इसमें concept क्या है? What is the concept? The concept is that you have to write a bit of, let's say that philosophical orientation की needs and greeds क्या है? This. And needs and greeds, so how many people who are the important philosophers talking about needs and greeds? Let's say it can be Mahatma Gandhi, it can be Gautam Buddha, let's say. Desire is the main source of suffering, you know that. This. So you can mention. Thereafter you have to relate, means basically you have to apply. You have to write in applied way that how greeds can have different consequences and needs can have different consequences by relating with some this or that types of examples. This. So basically the answer will become applied in nature. Isn't it? This. So that aspect, you have to know the concept or philosophy to an extent that you are able to relate and explain needs and greeds relation. Needs and greeds and human behavior. This. So that is the philosophical aspect. Now applied I say separately because if you find the questions, number of questions if you see, so in that paper, let's say section A, in section A you have 1 to 13 questions, let's say. This means there are 13 theoretical questions that we have. In that 13 theoretical questions, most of the questions will become this applied situation, largely linked to civil services. This. Either they will be linked to civil services or administration or bureaucracy or government or public servant. This is how it will be. This. And if you read, let's say 2022 question, so 22 question, if you see, the first 3 questions were related to civil services and a huge paragraph in theory section. This. Many a time a question is of 4-5 lines, 6 lines you can consider. This. In theory section if you talk. So gradually let's say that it has become applied in nature. This is what we want to say. This paper orientation has changed, which in simple we say that the concept and application. For concept part, basically you have to learn those, let's say that ki philosophies or definitions. You have to know several such definitions of terminologies. Now, let's say ki probity. The 3 times they have asked question, isn't it? On probity they have asked 3 times. Last year also they asked question related to probity. The probity in governance. Can you define the term probity? Can you precisely define? Can you define as per what its actual definition is? Or you can write your own definition, whatever the definition. If you take several, let's say the 2013 onwards, the nature of paper, the questions that they have asked, so one type of question will be that you have to define it. We have to know definition of those terms, then we have to know some of the philosophies, and then we have to learn application part, how we can apply with some examples, some facts, and then case studies. That is how we can consider. This is how the nature of this paper, if you saw. Then as I was talking about, let's say that trends, let's say that. If you see trends, in theory section if you talk, so initially it used to be more theoretical, right? 2013, if you go by 2023, it is more applied. This limited dimensions, it is now diverse. Anything can be asked. So the syllabus, let's say if you find that, the spectrum of that syllabus if you see, so it has become very wide. This wide in the sense that by reading that 2013 to 2023 papers, you know the range of the questions. So the range of questions you'll find now. So that has become highly diverse. Right? Diverse is that there was a time they did not ask, let's say, thinkers, you can say, philosophers, you can say, like Buddha, Vivekananda. Now there is a time that Vivekananda they have asked 3 times. Like Guru Nanak they asked last year. Yes. So now Nehru also they have asked. This. We were reluctant to ask Nehru because there is anti-Nehru sentiment. Anyhow, but last year they also asked Nehru. As in terms of leader you can say, philosopher you can say. So on the one hand, range if you say, or you say diversity if you say, so that is increasing. So that is a challenge for you a bit. Because let's say any philosopher, any leader quotation they can ask. That is one challenge. But at the same time, let's say that you have also this, you will be satisfied or you will have contentment. Philosophers are repeated also. So both types of trends you can find. That questions are repeated also, including philosophers. At the same time, you should know that there is, let's say, new also, let's say that question that they ask. Like say, I will tell you Mahatma Gandhi so asked 7 times. Mahatma Gandhi asked 7 times. And that is explicitly a question on Mahatma Gandhi. Implicitly, Mahatma Gandhi is everywhere. Because he is the most referred leader or philosopher, your answer. That way it will happen, So that is what we will find that, although at this stage, since subject you have not still read, or when we'll talk the topics, so that time also we try to discuss the questions. But just to tell in outset itself that the paper, if you see, is still, even if diversity is happening, but still let's say that it is still less challenging than other three papers. This, once you prepare, you know the basic definitions, you know some theories, you know some good examples, you know how to refer, then you will be able to write better answer. And ethics paper, you know that it has remained, right, among all the four papers, let's mark fetching type, you know that largely people secure good marks in ethics papers. Yes, it is difficult to secure that high marks in first three papers, especially first and third papers, you know that. But it is quite, let's say that easy to secure 110, 112, 115, 20. In fact, 110 will be considered still average for ethics paper unless you get 120 around. This, because people get like this year highest is I guess 143 or something like this. The first ranker this year has got the highest in ethics paper. Last year the second ranker got the highest, let's say in ethics 142, let's say that. So that is how we'll find the highest has gone in this paper to 163 around, I guess. Once one student, let's say that, the successful candidate secured 163 also around this. And we say ethics essay and optional. This. So ethics essay and optional if you talk. So your optional is good if you are able to do relatively better in ethics paper. And then finally, let's say that in essay, so they can ensure, let's say to some extent, a better rank in the overall that list of UPSC. This. So that is what we can say about, although I do not want to go into details of this. Case studies, when we'll take case studies, that day we'll talk. Before case study, we explain the trends in case study. The message we wanted to give you is that paper has become gradually more applied, and let's say basically since we have been teaching 2013, so debate started initially. When 2013 the paper was introduced, that whether they will have more theoretical question or they will have more applied question. Then another debate was that whether in applied question they will have more question from civil services or they will have in general, let's say, applied questions. If you analyze the papers of those all years, so you find that in applied the paper is more inclined towards civil services or paper second type. Like even e-governance, governance, good governance, those, let's say that things also they have asked, including citizen charter, RTI, etc. In fact, RTI remains in terms of case studies related single most important topics that 3 times they have asked case studies related to RTI. So what you get out of this is that the paper is, yes, a bit conceptual, but at the same time it is applied in nature. You have to learn how to explain answer in applied way. Second aspect is that you have to become more, let's say that means you should have a better understanding about administration. If you have better understanding of administration, civil services, then you will be able to do better in the answers. This. And let's say that the third aspect is ethical perspective in the answer. That ethical perspective is something you can consider. Are you having critical thinking in your answers like this? Whether your answer is reflecting any critical thinking, which will start knowing what is ethics is all about. This. Next, let's see sources of reading, etc. When we say how to prepare this paper. The sources of reading you can consider. So, see, if when you are doing class, the notes that you will make, the handwritten notes, it is adequate enough. Since you are part of the class, most of the things are taught. And market may, I should not tell myself, but you know that in market people read our handwritten notes. Yes. और सारे बुक शॉप वालों ने उन्होंने पॉपुलर बनाया है. This is how I know this. The way you buy some other notes, people also buy that handwritten. But let's say you don't have to buy that. No, you are part of the class. So when you are part of the class, you understand better. It itself, let's say, that can be considered adequate enough. At the same time, let's say that what we do is that class notes plus we provide, that there will be some tests, I guess. You write at least 3 tests. Right. So when you write 3 tests, you get model answer. Model answers are another source of your, let's say, content, that. Because model answers are prepared very lucid way, they have good examples, they have good facts. So it is addition you can use, you can supplement you can use. Plus, let's say that you will be also given, let's say that, two, let's say that, practice. There will be 2 practice books in which we provide one related to model answer, means question and answer for theory section, and question and answer for case studies. This. So when you get, this will be on portal, let's say we give soft copies. Here you can get hard copies, but these things are available in soft copies, let's say that. This. So question and answer. Again, let's say they are nothing but what we have done is, we have taken our questions from past test series and selected them, and we have given answers also to them. That can help you in terms of, suppose you want to write answers, don't read the answers first. Take the question, write your answer, match with the answer, the model answer given, self-improvement. This. So that way it can become another source, and you can make your, let's say, there notes. Plus, let's say some handouts will give, let's say, some, like you may get one PDF file that is called values in administration. Basically, it is nothing but आप भी आप download कर सकते हो. This, you can also download it. It is DOPT, it is a training manual, PDF file hai. You type on Google values in administration, you will get it. This, it is prepared by this DOPT, let's say, and you read, I guess you read over 75 pages. In fact, अभी आपको अगर कुछ पढ़ना है तो ये ही पढ़ो आप. Printed notes भी मत पढ़ो. Why? Very simple way they have explained. Ethics, values, and relationship between them. The language is also very simple. Although we do provide ourselves PDF file, but आप खुद भी download करके पढ़ सकते हो. Yes. Why 75 pages? Because उसके बाद philosophy शुरू हो जाता है. Indian philosophy about this and that. So it's technical, which is more for philosophy optional people, not for you. This. So this, plus we give also, let's say, ARC second. You can also read yourself ARC second, called Ethics in Governance. Right. It is also soft copy available on portal. Or if you want to download entire report, you can download it. बाकी market में भी वो लोग आपको photo state देते हैं. तो मार्केट से भी ले सकते हैं. पूरा रिपोर्ट पढ़ना नहीं है. कभी आप लाओगे तो मैं मार्क करके बता दूंगा क्या पढ़ना है, या किसी दिन मैं यहीं पे बता दूंगा शो करके क्या पढ़ना है उसमें. It's thick one, but not needed to read entire piece. Why you should read it? Because as I told you that paper has become applied in nature. Since it has become applied in nature, and that applied also, it is more about civil services, and your knowledge at this stage about civil services is not that much. This, your knowledge is very, let's say that you can consider inadequate about Indian administration, about civil services. So reading them can make you more applied. That's why it will also help in papers second. This, so that aspect can be. Plus, you use the two, let's say that booklet that we give, the printed notes that have been given, you can use them as a reference. Reference in the sense that syllabus-wise topics are prepared. So wherever you do not find any content related to a particular topic, you can refer that printed notes. The printed notes can be used as reference. You can consider this. That is how it will help. Then next comes, let's say, nowadays we have started. So just for your what you can say, lighter way, you can say, if you have curiosity to know some current developments, related ethical developments, although we give one booklet on compilation of ethics through current development, but nowadays we have formalized it in terms of ethics magazine, in ethical perspective type. So that if you have time, you should go through that. This is how it gives some current development related, so you become familiar with current. That is how also, so it can help. It means too much of this, isn't it? It's too much, this you can say. तो too much को reduce कैसे कर सकते हैं? So whatever we teach in the class, you rely on that, write it properly, and try to develop your own understanding. Then it will reduce all these things. If you see, first conceptually you will become strong by this class. Plus you will learn how to relate with different examples in different situations. That, and third, you can apply your own knowledge, since you have your own level of knowledge, plus GS paper 1, 2, 3. So that way itself it can be done. That's why some people are able to do extremely better in this paper, because they can have already you are grown up to this stage, that you already have certain ethical content in you. The only thing is that how you apply them, how you relate them. So that way we can say, still let's say that other aspects, let's say that other books, market, कोई भी अगर आपको books खरीदना है market से, तो you can buy any book, let's say that. Okay. Lexicon people, this is how they buy. No. And gradually, you know that it has also been made more applied. So Lexicon was a very small book, started, but now I think people say it is very thick one, very big one, right? So just for मन के शांति के लिए, this is how you know that to relieve yourself कि हमारे पास lexicon भी है. This you can keep it, or you can buy any book from market. At least let's say that you are relieved that yes, I have also this book or that book. Then next comes, let's say that next stage is called this suggested reading, that note making, let's say that. See, which basically we say that short note. You should do it once you are done with this paper. It is not that then we will be done with this, so I am telling you after that you should do. Rather, let's say that understanding. Unless you have understanding of the paper, if you start making short notes, it is wastage of time. First, second, making short notes is not mandatory. आजकल एक culture हो गया है और होना चाहिए, But suppose कि some people are appearing in mains examination, तो you don't have time. आपको तो टाइम इतना ही है कि जैसे तैसे पेपर फिनिश कर लो और जा करके पेपर दे दो, फिर भी 117 आ जाएगा. लोगों ने ऐसे किया है और मार्क्स आ गया तो आ गया. मार्क्स आना चाहिए ना, कैसे आता है इट डज नॉट मैटर. This there are people who have done this time ethics. Even people did in Jan, Feb also in 1-2 months, and they have secured top rank also. They have got good marks also. It is like by hooks and crooks you are preparing. But let's say those who have time targeting for 2025, so do you have time? When you have time, so once batch is finished, then you get understanding. And then you get also understanding of the paper. As of now, you will not understand paper. So that I will do later stage, how the paper analysis and the questions and the topics, although topic wise we'll deal it. So you will be a better person after, let's say that when we finish this course, you will understand better. Then you should prepare short notes. अब short notes में क्या preparation होता है? तो शॉर्ट नोट्स में ये होता है कि यू गो एज पर टॉपिक वाइज, सब टॉपिक वाइज, क्वेश्चन वाइज, किस थिंकर से क्वेश्चन आया है. तो आपको ये जानना चाहिए कि किस फिलोसोफर को पूछा है यूपीएससी ने और कितने बार पूछा है. मान लो विवेकानंदा को 3 बार पूछा है, 3 टाइम्स दहबाज. अब आपको ये देखना है कि 3 टाइम्स उन्होंने पूछा क्या है. तो 3 टाइम्स दहबाज 3 डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ क्वेश्चंस. This, your notes should be on Vivekananda, incorporating those 3 different dimensions at least, and plus any other aspect. This. So similarly, let's say they have asked other, let's say महात्मा गांधी, तो उन्होंने 7 टाइम्स पूछा क्या है. तो 7 टाइम्स का अगर स्टेटमेंट ही आप देख लोगे तो महात्मा गांधी ऐसे ही प्रिपेयर हो जाएंगे. So that is what we have to understand, what the question they ask. And then the topic wise, subtopic wise, from this class notes plus some other source, you can prepare your best examples, facts, examples, new terms, and that is how in answer people write. This answer, if you take, so any answer you are writing, it starts with definition in general, or any, let's say that any just introduction, any can be, let's say not definitions, it can be just, let's say that any quote can be, let's say that. You can start with any quote, etc., any philosophy you can start. And then finally, let's say you can explain the question, whatever the question it is asking, plus you write examples, facts, relate, and then you conclude. And in conclude also you write any philosophy. This. So now let's say when you are preparing your answer in short notes, तो you should be prepared in advance कि मैं यहाँ पे philosophy क्या लिखूंगा अगर इस तरह का क्वेश्चन आता है, और मैं यहाँ पे वो कोट क्या लिखूंगा. बस. So that is how you should do it later. Right? This. And that way, let's say people are well prepared in this paper, and then you will have one small booklet, and that's why people are able to secure very easily marks in this paper. Yes, it is not challenging. Yes, challenging is in understanding the ethicality of this paper. The ethical thinking. Do you have ethical thinking? Yes. Which will be a bit difficult also, because the way we have been, let's say, brought up, the way we have our society, our aptitude, attitude, and emotions will create barrier in understanding that. But if you have right aptitude, attitude, and emotional intelligence, so for you it will not be difficult. It is like aptitude paper, CSAT paper. Right? तो when CSAT paper was merit based, अभी भी CSAT paper में बहुत सारे लोगों को advantage, isn't it? Those who have good aptitude, they can do in CSAT paper. They have advantage. और जिसके पास एप्टीट्यूड नहीं है वो लर्न करके तो होगा नहीं, isn't it? जिसको मैथमेटिक्स नहीं आता है, ऐसे sarcastically, जिसको मैथमेटिक्स नहीं आता है आप कोटा भेज के मैथमेटिक्स नहीं पढ़ा सकते उसको, सुसाइड कर लेगा वो. Yes. So that is what she said, right? That is how it is ethics. If you have ethical orientation in you, you can just polish it. We can refine it. But if a person lacks it, then it becomes difficult. उसके लिए ये पेपर काफी चैलेंजिंग हो जाएगा. Yes. So gradually you will know when we'll teach the topics कि whether you have those aspects, and when you have those aspects, those things will give you confidence. कि this I can do it. This, isn't it? Before we start with one example. Let's say that these basics are done, isn't it? क्या पढ़ना है, source क्या है, syllabus क्या है, isn't all these things which generally will tell or we tell in the first class. Next is let's start. So अभी एक recent में सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट आया है, राइट? LGBT denied this. So right to marry means right to marriage, let's say that, is denied. Are you aware? Are you familiar with this? Those who are not familiar, they should know that. We want to explain you what is ethics. This. If you take, let's say that कि those people who are, this is how I can say, LGBT तो आप जानते होंगे. This much knowledge we expect. So they have been denied that they will not have right to marriage as per, let's say that कि Indian, let's say that कि societal norms. This, because in India marriage is considered as an institution. This marriage we consider as an institution. Marriage has, let's say, procreation, family, let's say that, children, you can say that. This, that is how. And in our Indian society, as per Indian society, this is how it is not permissible at this stage. Right. This. Now let's say how you see that this judgment, let's say that this judgment, that it is based on social norms. It is based on social norms, right? Social norms. This, and social norms, let's say, basically our society believes in this. Now, what will be your view on this? आप क्या सोच रहे हैं? Although first day, first class, I should not take sensitive topics, but we guess that you are sensitive enough. No. So what is your view? How you will react? Is it a right judgment? Not a right judgment? What we should do? Yes. So basic question is how we should understand how we should take a stand. And basically what we are concerned is, at the end of all these analysis, what we are concerned? This, what is right? Isn't it? So we are concerned that what is right. Right. Means whether giving them, whether they should get their right, or we should adhere to this. This is how the challenge we are facing. Right. So should we go as per social norms? Should we conform to social norms? This, or let's say that should we give right to them? This, and whatever they stand, let's say that we take. So how will know that it is right? This. Social contract, marriage itself is a social contract. So we cannot separate society. Right. So we cannot separate society while taking decision. Means people should, let's say that take decision by following social norms. This is what we want to say. Yes. Yes, so yes, marriage is a social contract. So we should not separate society, means we should follow social norms. This you want to say. Right.
मुझे लगता है मैरिज को अलाउ कर देना चाहिए. रीजन क्या है कि अगर इंस्टीट्यूशन के अलग नॉन अगर ओपिनियन से देखें तो मैरिज इज बेसिकली लिविंग टुगेदर फॉर द रेस्ट ऑफ द लाइफ इन द पीसफुल मैनर. तो अगर कोई लड़का अगर किसी के साथ रहना चाह रहा है या फिर लड़की किसी के साथ रहना चाहिए एक फैमिली की तरह, तो कोई ऑब्जेक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए किसी थर्ड पर्सन को. सिविल यूनियन ही है, दैट्स सिविल यूनियन.
Yes. इसमें कई सारे आर्गुमेंट्स हो सकते हैं. दिस इज हाउ कंसर्न. तो देयर कैन बी, लेट्स से दैट कि वी कैन हैव आर्गुमेंट्स. We can have arguments, let's say, of different types of arguments, right? So when we have argument 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the arguments you have, these arguments are nothing good. They are good in the sense that these arguments will show critical thinking. This, anyone is giving a view, it is thinking. We cannot reject, we cannot deny. So if you have one argument, someone is saying the civil union is allowed, that someone is saying society should not have a problem. She says that, let's say, marriage is itself a social contract, so we cannot ignore society. So basically what you are trying to do is, you are trying to have critical thinking. These are all critical thinking, or let's say analysis of the matter, so that we can reach to this right decision. We can reach to that right decision. This, in that, let's say that what are the things. So what we are trying to do, if court has decided, the court has given preference to this. Court has given preference to this. That is how, as of now, he talks about this. But let's say that what about them? Let's say that if you take their argument, then let's talk that why they should be denied it, or should they be denied it, right? So now let's say that they are the individuals. They are individuals, and we say that grown-up individuals. Anyway, let's say Supreme Court itself has said anyone 12 years plus, let's say that 12 years plus, boys and girls, if they live together, so parents cannot force them. to separate. This, even if they cannot marry, this, but if the boy and girl, let's say that they are living together, this, because marriage age is certainly 28, 21 and 18 years. But let's see, when we talk, there are cases where a boy or girl has gone to the court and court has intervened. If parents cannot impose their decision on children once children are grown up. Right? So when children are grown up, so let's say they are also grown up individuals. So when they are grown up individuals, don't you think that they should take their decisions themselves? This, if two persons belonging to the same sex want to live together, so it is their decision. They are grown up, they know what they are doing. Isn't it? They are grown up, they know what they are doing. This, we cannot say that they have, let's say, social inability, means they are not socially competent to take decision. And ये एक बीमारी है, जैसे बोलते हैं ना, let's say some people say that homosexuality is an illness rather than, let's say, right. This, that way we consider. Anyhow, so basically let's say two individuals, and we will say by that logic that they are grown up people, so they can take their decisions. Now दूसरा मैटर आता है कि right to privacy. What is right to privacy? So right to privacy is nothing but privacy deals with marriage, procreation, social relations. Right to be left alone. This right to privacy means right to be left alone. Don't interfere in my social space. This, the should state have concern about persons marrying whom, which person? Certainly it can. But let's say that if you find right to privacy, तो we say it as also fundamental right. अभी तो recently उन्होंने बोला है कि it is intrinsic fundamental right. Right? This aspect. So right to privacy is also saying that the individuals should be given right. This, they should live together. Now the question comes, should you, let's say that live in the fashion social norms are, or you should conform to the social norms? This. Then the next question comes, whether social norms do not change. Whether social norms will always remain the same? No. Social norms also keep changing, evolving, because they are unwritten rules of behavior. This, the social norms keep changing. Like there was a time sati practice we had. There was a time widow remarriage not allowed. This, there was child marriage. The social norms have changed. So you know also that social norms will not remain same. This. So, yes, tell. So, social norms will not remain same. Plus, there is scientific advancement. There is scientific advancement. Let's say, whether gay is a bimari or it is a choice, you can prove also. This you should understand. What I am trying to say is, I am not trying to take a decision. I am trying to explain you ethics. This ethics is about critical thinking. Whatever the stand you take, it is different, but ethics is that you should think about any matter from different perspective. Again, it is not कि just different perspective से think करना ही ethics है. No. Ethics is that कि before you take a decision, do you have critical thinking? Have you given a thought over that? And have you given a thought over different possibilities? And then you take any stand? This. And those different possibilities should be based on rationality. This rationality in the sense that we should not think you belong to which background, you belong to this background, that background, whether social norms should be continued, whether people are hurt, जो लोग hurt हो जाएंगे उनका क्या करेंगे, this, तो ये rationality नहीं है. Rationality is a logic that you give on the basis of objectivity. That suppose we are saying कि no social norms should be adhered, then the question is why it should be adhered. This. So you should give some logic on that why it should be adhered, because in some situations social norms are important. You should know this. In some situations social norms are important. Like let's say that कि marriage, the same marriage में जो rituals होते हैं, marriage में जो और सारी चीजें होती है वो social norm के हिसाब से होता है. Culture to culture it differs. तो आप ये नहीं कहोगे कि नहीं ऐसे नहीं होगा. Right. So that social norm is protected. This. So you have to give logic कि whether social norms should be continued, it should not be continued. To what extent an individual should sacrifice his or her rights for the societal rights. Means to what extent social norms, let's say that ki impose limitation on you, and to what extent you have your rights. This. And these things will become basis to take a decision. And when these things become basis to take a decision, so we say it as a right decision or we say as ethical decision. Yes. And that is how ethics will teach you. This is how we are going to teach in ethics paper different aspects of the philosophies. All philosophies will teach one thing. Means they have common aspect in them. They are different philosophies, but they teach one thing. You take decision on the basis of rationality, not on the basis of caste, religion, community, region, sex, and other things. Which, yes, I will give you opportunity, which even our constitution also writes in Article 15, Article 16 that there should not be discriminations. As I told you that since already we are grown up to a level, and when we are grown up, so in us we have more of Hindu, Muslim, Brahmin, Kshatri, North India, South India, this, that, all these things in us. And these things make us less human, less rational. And that's why our decisions become biased. So they will not be considered ethical decision. This, like there is a judge in High Court who is gay and he is not being elevated to Supreme Court. This. So now should his, let's say that his social life become basis for getting elevated or not elevated? Which even the Chief Justice has taken the matter. Other judges have also taken the matter, and indirectly they have told that one's social background should not be the basis, let's say, as a barrier for elevation. This. So that is what we can consider. Or you know that women not allowed in military, you know that, this, that aspect. So many areas you will find that the decisions, so this ethics will teach you that rationality. This, because those who have taught ethics, they were rationalists. Be it Aristotle, be it Machiavelli, be it, let's say that Hobbes, or be it, let's say, Kant or James Mill, Bentham, whoever you talk, they are all rationalists. The difference is that they have different means to explain this. And that is what ethics paper you are going to talk. Yes.
There is a situation like the clash between ethics and law. What should it follow, sir? Ethics and law. Clash between.
Yes. If there is clash between ethics and law, we'll deal it no doubt one day. But yes, in general, you should follow law. Because law itself is based on ethical foundation. Right? But there are situations where you should follow ethics.
Ethics needs critical thinking, but law is it's closer, sir. Actually, it is gazette like we just follow blindly.
No, not in that. No, not like that. When ethics can be explained through factual statements, they become law. Right? So what is ethics today, tomorrow it can become ethic. It can become lawful. This many way ethics is enforced through law. So do not take law in a very narrow way.
So every time in society there is a clash between law and ethics.
Yes.
While you are working, sometimes you follow some ethics, sometimes you follow the law. So what?
Yes. See, law should be respected. Law has its legitimacy. That we say rule of law. Right. Yes. But yes, there will be situations where you have to follow ethics over law.
Suppose following doesn't follow the law is also an unethical. Unethical. In the system, it doesn't follow the law. That is unethical.
Let's keep. There is one student, and it is IIT entrance, and he qualifies, right? But there is a counseling session. After that, you have to take admission, and admission, let's say that it is completely online. This COVID time का ये case है, right? Online, and somehow let's say कि last day he goes to, let's say he goes online and he tries to, let's say, take admission last day. What happened that time his server does not work. Means network somehow got disrupted, and hence he is not able to take admission. Since deadline ends of admission, on the website also, right, let's say that you have the, let's say, space for applying for that, all things are vanished. This, because once admission date ends, all those admission related things from website removed. Now what he should do? Right? Now he called to Mumbai, let's say, Bombay IIT, let's say, he called in that office. Office responded and see, since you did not apply for admission before the deadline, the now deadline has ended. Since deadline has ended, so we cannot take your admission. Right? The here law is applying before admission. Right? Now what should be done? Should he be admitted? Do you think Bombay IIT denial of admission is the right one? Is it right?
So it is facing some technical problems. Filling the application or taking the admission.
No. Let's take that. Suppose he is, let's say, he did not take admission on time. Now, should Bombay IIT admit him or not?
If he willingly did not apply for it, then the IIT Bombay should not give any kind of a reward. But he tried to apply.
How?
तो इंक्वायरी हो सकती है ना कि ऑनलाइन सर्वर डाउन हुआ था या कुछ ऐसा बेस्ड ऑन इंक्वायरी तो क्लियर किया जा सकता है
राइट ठीक है मान लो कि ही अप्लाइड देयर वाज जेन्युइन प्रॉब्लम
Logically, the instruction is given the last day, sir, but due to some technical error, he failed in filling the application before the date. So we consider some ethical manner in this matter.
और सर ऐसा सिमिलर केस अभी सुनने में आया था कि मुंबई में गूगल मैप की वजह से कुछ बच्चे सेंटर पे नहीं पहुंच पाए थे यूपीएससी का एग्जाम देने के लिए और ये 5 मिनट 10 मिनट लेट पहुंचे थे उन्हें एग्जाम नहीं देने दिए तो वहाँ भी लॉ और एथिक्स वहाँ भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट में आता है
Yes. Yes.
और ऐसा जो नीट यूजी का केस भी हुआ है जिसमें कहा गया ग्रेस मार्क किया गया क्योंकि बच्चे लेट पहुंचे थे पेपर लेट मिला था
Right.
कि लॉ को इग्नोर भी किया गया
Yes. But there are so many cases, we have lots of classes we'll deal later on. But let's say कि since you brought it, so what should be done here?
मुझे लगता है सर आईआईटी को एडमिशन अलाउ करना चाहिए और स्कूल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को ये सोचना चाहिए कि क्या स्कूल पर पहुंचने के लिए जो तरीके हैं क्या जेन्युइन हैं कि नहीं प्रॉब्लम
Yes. Now the question is कि क्या लॉजिक क्या होना चाहिए उसको जस्टिफाई करने के लिए. What should be the logic to just?
Logically, the date ends. It ends, but ethically, they have to give the another chance because to do some server
No, that is not good logic.
Sir, the state has the responsibility of welfare, sir. So the state needs to abide by some values, sir. Even if it has
नहीं, ये तो काफ़ी जेनरिक हो गया एक तरीके से, बहुत ही जेनरिक. Try to understand. He has qualified entrance at first place, right? And that he has qualified on the basis of merit. There is no any fraudulent practice. Right. The NEET case you are talking is different thing. Giving grace marks, it's different thing. But that person has qualified entrance. It means कि at any day he is eligible for admission. This. Here you are denying admission to a candidate who is eligible. You are not denying admission to a candidate who is trying to take admission even if he is not eligible. That should be the logic. And qualifying that entrance is a big deal. It's not an ordinary examination. If he is coming in that rank, the rank which he can take admission in Bombay IIT, he may have a top rank in this. The first thing is that he is eligible on the basis of merit. Right? Now, if you give him admission in Bombay IIT, it does not make other candidates less meritorious. It does not affect their seats. It does not result into additional seat because already he is eligible for admission. So you are not making any special window for him. It is not reservation also. Right? Because he is eligible at first place. प्रॉब्लम तब होता है जब कि मान लो कि एडमिशन ले रहा है उसके लिए एक सीट क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा. बस. Yes. Yes, there can be possibility. Yes. Yes, accepted. I accept that technicality. It is possible. Can institution means whether the institution may not be able to accommodate a candidate?
Provide an incentive to students to become more lazier and they fail next time.
No, it is not a logic यार. जो I
सर्वर डाउन होता है तो मेरे ख्याल से सबके लिए सर्वर चला जाता है ऐसा तो नहीं कि अदर पर्सन अप्लाई कर लेगा
anyhow.
There has been no procedural fairness on the part of IIT Bombay on technical aspects. तो उसका गलती नहीं है.
ठीक है.
सर्वर डाउन.
अच्छा. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने क्या बोला था? सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने पता है क्या बोला? At times, law should not guide us. Humaneness should guide us. The human should be the call rather than law. that student was allowed for admission. Supreme Court gave order for his admission. Now, why? Try to understand. देखो लॉ किस लिए बनाया गया है? अब ये भी सोचने की बात है. These are all logics, critical thinking. लॉ आपने बनाया है सोसाइटी के लिए, राइट? सोसाइटी को बेहतर करने के लिए, न कि सोसाइटी को वर्स करने के लिए. If law is making society worse, that law should be changed. Yes, but every time you cannot change it, you can make an exception. That is one aspect. People are bigger than law, but in some situations, not in all situations. That also you have to understand. So, let's say rule of law का तीसरा point क्या होता है? Yes, the rule of law का जो तीसरा point होता है, वो लोगों का primacy की बात करता है. Even if the first 2 points talk about supremacy of law. So this complex relation you have to understand. This basically largely we have to enforce law, but in some situations we can go beyond law, not by undermining law, but for the sake of society, which you should be able to justify.
So it's a common individual to have that power of.
So that is what you can say that.
Has the power to follow ethics in some situation rather than the law.
Yes.
So is common man has some power to follow only ethics in some situation rather than law?
No.
Then why should it?
See, common man cannot break traffic because he has emergency. If he breaks traffic and he has emergency, now it is left to the traffic police what he does. Because common man does not enforce law. Only authorities enforce law. So those who enforce law, when there is a law and let's say ethics conflict, it will be decision in their context, not in citizen context.
So suppose I am the driver of ambulance driver. I am jumping towards the signals because there is a patient in the backside. Okay, it is against the actually traffic laws, but I should follow here some ethical sense.
Yes.
But for the ambulance, there is no rule
Right.
to follow the traffic.
Ambulance, she says that there is no rule, you can cross. These are some of the things to try to understand. There is a human call, you know that. You are trying to save a life in that situation, not in every situation. Right? Saving life is the most precious thing. और उस समय आप कुछ भी ब्रेक कर सकते हो, मतलब कि दूसरे का जान नहीं लेना है. That is how it is. So, means you can break traffic, this, that, because you are saving life. Saving life is a very precious thing. That will be taken as exception. But the same behavior you cannot repeat in normal situations. So this we have to understand. Right? So normally we have to follow law. Yes.
The society have the good ethics, that is okay.
Yes. Anyhow, these are the logics. Lots of, let's say that people are writing. No, I will tell. इतना सारा लॉजिक, yes, ये भी लॉजिक है, आप दे सकते हो. Try to understand that. देखो, वो एक ह्यूमन टैलेंट है. वो कल को एक आईआईटी खड़ा कर सकता है. आपको नहीं पता है कि कल कौन क्या करेगा. ठीक है, तो अगर आप किसी टैलेंट को, पर्सन हैज ए पोटेंशियल, आप उसको डिनाई कर रहे हो, इट इज नॉट ए मैटर ऑफ डिनाइंग दैट पर्सन राइट. इट इज नॉट ए मैटर ऑफ ह्यूमैनिटी. इट इज ए मैटर ऑफ डिनायल ऑफ potential of a person to be realized. And we do not know in that which student can do what in future. That is more important. This. So rules should not come on the way. These are very, let's say, कि minor thing. और किसी IIT को ये नहीं सोचना चाहिए कि कैसे एकमोडेट करेंगे. जब आप उस टैलेंट की बात सोचेंगे तो आप किसी को भी एकमोडेट कर सकते हैं. And that can bring more benefits to society. That should also be in mind. Since we have become so mechanical in our society, although this first class I will not speak much on that. So that is what critical aspect. तो आपका जो भी लॉजिक होना चाहिए, जो भी थिंकिंग है आपका, वो बैलेंस्ड होना चाहिए. बैलेंस मतलब जबरदस्ती का दोनों साइड का नहीं बोलना है. बैलेंस, आई टोल्ड यू दैट कि हमें बाई एंड लार्ज लॉ फॉलो करना है, राइट, बिकॉज लॉ हैज ए लेजिटिमेसी. ओनली केस बाय केस ऐसा होता है कि आप लॉ को इग्नोर करके एथिक्स फॉलो कर सकते हैं, बट उस सिचुएशन में आपको जस्टिफाई करना पड़ेगा. तो ये एक एक्सेप्टेबल स्टैंडर्ड होता है. That is how we keep it as exception. So this is called ethicality, let's say that. This is how we mean. Now let's say that is related to something we have talked in societal context. Societal context. Let's take in individual context. The matter we took in societal context, it is complex. Let's take the individual. Individual like you can be you. Yes. Now, you may have this tendency, right, to do right, act right in right fashion. People, blah blah things like. The question is why? Why you want to do right things? Then what is right? Yes. Oh, you want to do right thing, act in right fashion. Then what is right? Question is. What is right? This. So if you say action accepted by society, तो सोसाइटी तो गलत एक्शन भी एक्सेप्ट कर सकती है. नो. You have told the right thing, but that definition has a flaw. Right? Ethics is what society accepts. ऐसे ही define होता है, but वो सही definition नहीं है. But it is not a standardized definition. Govern that is moral. So what is moral? Right. So individual. That, but we have, let's say that in our country itself we have अलग अलग इंडिविजुअल के लिए अलग अलग होगा मॉरल स्टैंडर्ड. Yes.
Can be a yardstick to that.
But when we say that morality is action that confirms some values.
Morality is generally which is sanctioned through the religious text.
Yes, basically let's say that ki ethics will be first concerned about, not that LGBT rights. Ethics deals with first individual conduct. It is about individual conduct. This. So that individual, how that individual can behave in right fashion. This. So what is right fashion? They will also explain it. Like the way you are saying, it is general way you are saying. He told it is theoretical way. So when you say general way, ki there should be morality, the moral standard, individual standards. These are general standards you are talking. To say any conduct as ethical or unethical, there are certain logics and standards. There are some principles you can consider this. And on those principles, we can tell a particular conduct as ethical or unethical. This. So that's why in society you have lots of things, you know that. This individual, this right or let's say right conduct. So his conduct is right as per morality. His conduct is right as per religion, as per law, as per social norms. This. So your conduct can be right on several such grounds, several such bases. And in that, there is also one basis, and that basis we say as or this. There are several standards, of which we have one standard, and that standard is called universal standards. And those universal standards are set by ethics. This. That way we can consider. So ethics, which I say that basically normative ethics, they are set by normative ethics. Right. So we have to understand them also, we have to understand that also. This.
So can I say right and wrongs are the perception of the people? It's all about the perception of seeing the people.
There can be perception, but then at the same time there can be also view on that. Perception is without established, but view is an established standard, let's say that. So when we say perception, so perception has not been established by facts. The perceptions of society may not be right. This. But when you give view, the view is based on certain standards. This.
So is there any proper definition for right? Right is less right.
Right.
Proper exact definition for right.
There is no proper definition of right. Right is what, let's say, based on universal standards. When your conduct is based on universal standard, it can be considered as a right conduct. First. Then when your conduct is based on societal standards, that is also right. From lesser right to higher right. This.
Who defines the universal standard, ethical standard? What is ethical? Who defines it?
Yes, that is how field of ethics.
So what is the internet again? Human is defined, no, sir?
Yes. Everywhere you have human. In any subject you have human. But we say subject, not human. No.
Sir, again, it's society who is defining what is ethical, what is the absolute ethical
Yes,
standard.
that also I can agree. At the end of the day, society accepts, so society defines.
That means, sir, universal standard is same thing as so what is accepted by society.
No.
Then, sir, who defines what is ethical standard universal? Absolutely, what is ethical?
Sir, can majority plays the role in righteousness
Try to understand. See, society has evolved, right? When society has evolved, so knowledge has advanced. That is what we have to know. Who decides and how it is decided, right? So there are philosophies which have decided.
Like sir, like in 1960, LGBTQ has no kind of rights, but now we have all the rights. They have all the rights in the law. Sir, ethical standard and universal standards are already evolving, no, sir. Then how we will know that what is today, which is now considered as ethical, tomorrow it may not be ethical.
Yes, you are right. But the question is that, see, we do not have to have that level of absoluteness that you are trying to say. We try to take decision as per what today is. This you can say that. Any value that we are adhering, whether tomorrow it will not be adhered, that's a very different thing. This. So that will not be the basis to decide. Right? Gradually you will understand. This I can understand the uncomfort, right? Level of uncomfort, but we will tell you, will understand gradually what we are trying to say. Just we are trying to, let's say, yes, trigger your mind. Basically, good that it is getting triggered. Right. So we are triggering your mind for critical thinking, your thinking, let's say, and ethicality. So what we were trying to say is that individual means ethics deals basically about individual conduct. It's another matter that that knowledge, that principle we apply in societal context. But ethics per se deals with individual conduct. That we have to understand. And in that individual conduct, ethics will try to deal whether your conduct is ethical or not on the basis of universal standards rather than morality, religion, law, or societal norms. It's another matter that universal standards will be derived from them. Right? Universal standards will be derived from them. This you should know that. Now, why they do what they do? So it is, let's say that there are several explanations of that. Human. So why you want to do right? Still we have not explained that part. It is human nature. It is inherent human nature that we try to be non-harmful. Yes. It is inherent human nature we try to be positive. Right? We try to improve. Right? We try to do something better. It's inherent nature, let's say that. That why one after another you have been trying to do in your life. आपने 10+2 कर लिया, हो गया. Why you want to do graduation? इसलिए क्या बाकी लोग कर रहे हैं इसलिए? No. It's something in nature you want to get higher studies or knowledge, isn't it? Why you are trying for IAS?
How we can say that we are inherently progressive? We are progressive only in the presence of state and authority. If there is no state, no law, everyone will behave like animals together.
Yes. Is it like that?
Of course, not everyone is, but sort of certain law Muslims.
तो आप हब्स की बात कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. पॉलिटिकल साइंस है क्या ऑप्शनल? ये समझ में आ रहा है. सो द क्वेश्चन इज दैट कि वो तो हॉब्स का फिलॉसफी है जो रिजेक्ट हो चुका था. देखो, ह्यूमन नेचर ऐसा नहीं है, राइट? ऐसा होता तो कई बार आप यू आर लेफ्ट अलोन, राइट? यू आर लेफ्ट अलोन. जैसे आप दिल्ली में आए हैं, आप फैमिली से दूर रहते हैं, यू आर लेफ्ट अलोन लार्जली, मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल, राइट? फैमिली को थोड़ा टेंशन तो होगा भी, राइट, कि पता नहीं दिल्ली में जाके क्या करेगा. But do you think that when you are left alone, away from family, that you are chaotic? Not. Rather, you have developed your own self-discipline. Right? एक टाइम था जब आप बच्चे थे तो पेरेंट्स को फोर्स करना पड़ता था पढ़ने के लिए. अभी यहाँ कौन कर रहा है? ऐसा नहीं कि ओल्ड राजेंद्र में रहते हो तो उससे फोर्स मिल रहा है, ऐसा तो कुछ है नहीं. नहीं, सोसाइटल फिनोमिनन के बाद भी एक सेल्फ चीज है, इजंट इट? आप सेल्फ मोटिवेशन भी तो है ना आपके पास. आप 8 घंटा बैठ के पढ़ोगे, वो फिनोमिनन थोड़े एक्सप्लेन करेगा उसको. राइट? आपको तो 8 घंटा पढ़ने के लिए अंदर से मोटिवेशन चाहिए ना, सैक्रिफाइस चाहिए. आप कम खाना खाओगे. अगर हम एनिमल होते तो इतना खा लेते कि, बट हम मॉडरेशन में खाते हैं, isn't it? We eat in moderation, we live in moderation. Yes, कभी कभी एक्सट्रीम्स हो सकता है. तो बेसिकली लेट्स से वी कैन नॉट से लाइक दैट. इट इज वन व्यू बट इट इज नॉट द ओनली व्यू. दिस व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग इज द एस्टैब्लिश्ड व्यू. इट इज ए इनहेरेंट ह्यूमन नेचर. देखो, अगर इनहेरेंट ह्यूमन नेचर नहीं होता तो सोसाइटी प्रोग्रेस नहीं करती. Right, from food gathering stage to the present stage, society may not have gone in that progression, and society has always this churning of right and wrong. सारा फाइट तो इसी का है. And people have fought for the rights. People have sacrificed the life for the rights. अब वो ह्यूमन नेचर है या सोशल फेनोमेनन? राइट? आफ्टर ऑल, भगत सिंह, व्हाई ही एक्सेप्टेड गैलोज? क्यों? क्या वजह हो सकता है? इसलिए कि और कोई रास्ता नहीं था. भाग भी सकते थे, एपोलोजाइज भी कर सकते थे, isn't it? अब मैं क्रिटिकल हिस्ट्री में नहीं जाऊंगा. But let's say he could have apologized. But why he is not apologizing? Human nature. What? Adhering for rights. ये भी ह्यूमन नेचर है. बहुत सारे ऑनेस्ट ऑफिसर्स है, वो सोशल फेनोमेनन तो है नहीं. देयर आर सो मेनी ऑनेस्ट ऑफिसर्स हु आर सफरिंग, लेट्स से, लेटिंग देम सफर, बट दे आर नॉट कंप्रोमाइजिंग देयर वैल्यूज. क्यों? ये सोशल फेनोमेनन तो है नहीं. बिकॉज दैट इज हाउ ह्यूमन नेचर. यू कैन सैक्रिफाइस योर लाइफ फॉर द कॉज ऑफ वैल्यूज. दिस, ये भी एक ह्यूमन नेचर है. तो ह्यूमन नेचर, लेट्स से दैट कि दिस इज हाउ. तो ऑल फिलॉसफी विल टॉक, वन डे विल डील अबाउट ह्यूमन नेचर. तो फर्स्ट थिंग इज दैट कि इट इज इनहेरेंट ह्यूमन नेचर. बट सिर्फ ह्यूमन नेचर से ही राइट कंडक्ट नहीं आएगा, ये भी आप समझ. राइट कंडक्ट के लिए आपके पास नॉलेज चाहिए. किस सिचुएशन में कैसे बिहेव करना है, नॉलेज होना चाहिए. राइट? या जो क्वेश्चंस आप डील कर रहे हो जो भी एथिक्स पेपर में, तो उसको जजमेंट के लिए नॉलेज चाहिए आपको. केस स्टडी में इन दिस सिचुएशन व्हाट यू विल डू. तो you are trying to inform yourself in that particular situation how I will act, what will be the right action. This, so that demands, let's say, कि knowledge in the field of ethics. This, it deals with individual conduct and about right and wrong on the basis of these standards. Hence, let's say that कि any conduct we can consider as ethical or unethical only when that conduct conforms to universal standards. Now you have to know कि what are those universal standards. अब चाहे आप एग्री करो या ना करो, उससे कोई एथिक्स को मतलब नहीं है. This you should also know that. Because universal standards are universal standards, whether you accept or not, it does not matter. Ethics is ethics. आपके वजह से एथिक्स कंप्रोमाइज नहीं करेगा. मीन्स आपके वजह से चूंकि आप नहीं मानते तो एथिकल स्टैंडर्ड्स कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं होंगे, वो एथिकल स्टैंडर्ड्स ही रहेगा. दिस सो those universal standards are formulated by, this is called core philosophies that we have told, let ethics in human interface, let's say that. So they have set those universal standards. They have dealt with what is right and what is wrong, and there are standards to judge a particular conduct, that how we can say it right and wrong. This, and if you know them, that is how you will be able to also develop your own understanding, and you will also go beyond morality, religion, law, social norm, etc. Although they are also important. Ethics does not reject them. Rather, ethics has incorporated the good values of their practices. That way we have to understand. But certainly ethical standards are not moral standards, means morality or religion. They teach, let's say, different thing, they have a different basis. That is how we have to talk. The next stage we'll go is called, let's say, defining, let's say. So let's talk this formally. Defining ethics. Yes. So the key, we have used the three key terms in the definition. Yes. That it deals with character and conduct. So we have to know what is character, what is conduct. This. Then it is establish standards, which we say as universal standards, and with an aim to achieve the chief good. It is called summum bonum. This. So basically, let's say you are not adhering ethics just for the sake of adhering. You are adhering so that tomorrow you can become also a better person, or you can make this society better. That is called the chief good. This, the chief good is in a way highest achievement. This, either of an individual or of society. This, how it is, what it is, let's say that. It can be defined in other way. There can be several definitions. This is first definition, which is comprehensive one. Then we can write many other definitions of ethics. This, which we can say that next. Yes. So it deals with human character and conduct, or let's say that standards of human behavior. Very simple definition. मतलब अगर आप इतना भी बोल दो कि ethics deals with human character and conduct, that's all. Or it deals with standards of human behavior, it is also a definition. Yes. Then so it is a field of moral philosophy or moral science which is concerned about human behavior. Yes. It means that there is no one way to define. You can find that there are different ways to define. And that definition, although that we do not follow that definition, but some books are etc. will write that definition also. The ethics is what society imposes on people or what people commonly accept in a society. This. But people can accept wrong things also in society. That definition has its own flaws, let's say that. Now, the first one will elaborate it, the first definition, if you say. So that will explain your understanding. That when it deals with character and conduct, so any character and conduct this. So when it deals with character and conduct, let's say, so any character and conduct we can consider as right. So on what basis, let's say, we say it is acceptable or right. So what is the basis? Like say कि you say to someone in a day-to-day life you talk, so you say that he is not a right person. Right? You say he is not a right person or he is a good person. So on what basis you say? You say on the basis of your own understanding, but whether others will accept it, others may not. The others may not accept. This you can say that. So you can tell on this, so that can be, let's say that. Or let's say we say he is immoral or immoral. बहुत सारे ऐसे हो सकता है. तो किसी भी behavior को when you talk that कि whether it is right or wrong, so largely you are saying on the basis of your own understanding, or you are saying on the basis of, let's say कि your own morality, or you can say on the basis of your own, as we have already written, social norms, right? But let's say कि character and conduct acceptable right on the basis of established standards. Then what are those established standards? This we have to know. So then water. What are established standards? Right. In fact, the development of established standards has given rise to the field of ethics. Right? The field of ethics. See, ethics, when we use the term called ethics, we'll come to that. When you use the term ethics, it has meaning like any word. It has meaning like any word. जैसे आप गूगल करो आपको इसको मीनिंग आ जाएगा. This. So the way you have any other word, let's say कि morality आप गूगल करो मीनिंग आ जाएगा. Values आप गूगल करो मीनिंग आ जाएगा. Right? Social norm तो आपको मीनिंग मिल जाएगा. So ethics is a word like any other word, and it has its own meaning, which we can say that कि if you Google करोगे तो आपको मिलेगा कि deals with standards of human behavior. But सिर्फ उतने मीनिंग से आपको समझ में नहीं आएगा कि ethics क्या है. Right? तो ethics सिर्फ एक word नहीं है, let's say that. It is not only word. It is a also field of inquiry. Right? Field of inquiry means it is a field of moral philosophy. This. It is a field of moral philosophy also. This. जब हम टर्म एथिक्स यूज करते हैं तो इसका एक मीनिंग भी हो सकता है और इट इज ए फील्ड ऑफ मोरल फिलॉसफी. अब वो मोरल फिलॉसफी क्या करेगा? व्हाट दैट मोरल फिलॉसफी विल डू? This moral philosophy will try to establish standards. So it will establish standards. Right. And those established standards are nothing but universal how they set on the basis of logic, reasoning, critical thinking and rationality. This. अब ये सब क्या है? Gradually we will know it. This. So that's why we have defined that ethics deals with human character and conduct on the basis of established standard to achieve summum bonum. अब ये moral philosophy क्या करना चाहता है? ये भी तो चाहता है ना कि society becomes better. Why? What is the aim? Let's say that. Right. What is the aim? Let's say that. Aim of that ethics, or aim of that philosophy. This. To achieve good. So this is what we will find that, like, if you see the first line written in the IGNOU material related to this, IGNOU is also having some materials On ethics, you can also read that. This. So if you talk about Vedas, let's say that. So let's say that the main aim of the ethics is of human life. This. The main aim of life is to become good human. What is good human? Right. So try to understand. This moral philosophy will try to go on logicking the things. Human nature क्या होता है? What is human nature? How humans should take decision? Why humans should take decision? For what humans should take decision? Whether humans should take decision selflessly, humans should take decision by self-interest, whether humans should follow means, follow ends, all variety of logics they will do. This. And those things you will understand one day, you will understand that what are established standards. Then you will have better knowledge कि whether human nature negative होता है या positive होता है. Main aim of life क्या होगा? Success होगा या success is just a process, success is just a, let's say that की journey rather than a destination. What is the aim of the life? Even already these things have been talked in our philosophy, religion. All religions have also focused on what should be the aim of human life. Right? And more or less all will talk the same life. It should be the aim that it should be good human, isn't it? This same philosophy will also talk. So that is what they aim at. That is called chief good, that is called common good of the society. This. But then the question is, what are those established standards? This, and how they set those established standards, they set on the basis of this. So basically they have gone into thinking about human. Let's say simple example, let's say Buddha. So what Buddha thinks? What thinking he has? So all these worldly things are just their desires. And you should not aim for worldly things. Desire is the main source of suffering. Will you follow? Although one day will teach you, you should follow. मतलब एग्जाम में लिखने के लिए. So he says the main aim of life is ये सब कुछ नहीं. The main aim of life is to go in search of meaning of life. Life is meant for what? The main aim of life is not to become IAS. Anyhow. Basically, Buddha teaches a particular philosophy. Same thing will be taught by Vivekananda. All philosophers will have similarity, you should know that. Although the means will differ. So that is what established standard. It becomes established standard. Established standard of Buddha is you should not have extreme desires. You should follow Madhyam Marg. The Madhyam Marg is established standard. Right? आप इसको डिनाई नहीं कर सकते, आप रिजेक्ट नहीं कर सकते. Right? So moderation is good in a, let's say that considered a good principle. So that is how established principle in terms of that. But these are some complex, let's say that, Western thinkers, it has come. So established standards. These things have come from normative. We say that normative. Ethics. So it is concerned about how humans should behave. This. How humans should behave, this is how it is. So it is concerned, that is how we say it normative. अब अगर आपका मैथमेटिक्स ऑप्शनल होगा तो ये सब समझ में नहीं आएगा. This, if you have other optional subjects, especially humanities, so you may be familiar about normative, empirical, isn't it? अला अब तो GS में भी आता है ये सब टर्म, राइट. सर्वे आया इलेक्शन के बाद तो वो नॉर्मेटिव है या एम्पिरिकल है, right? So when we use the term normative, it is called subjective. The norms, let's say, it is based on norms. It is based on standards. तो आपने बोला ना कि किसी का यूनिवर्सल स्टैंडर्ड कोई और क्यों फॉलो करेगा? Ultimately they are set by human, right? So when they are set by human, the other human may not agree. Hobbes बोलेगा कि human nature negative है, तो Hobbes will not accept what, let's say, Kant talks. There is subjectivity about human behavior because you cannot prove human behavior by evidence. That you can say. So norms and standards there. So universal standards are also nothing but norms and standards. The difference between our norms and standards that we have and the universal norms and standards are that they are a bit refined. They are a bit objective. That, and whatever we have, they are not that objective. That is how we can consider. That can be the difference, although both have their own relevance, right? So we say that this, let's say, this is how we say normative theories of ethics, and they have set those norms and standards. So let me tell those normative theories. Then so normative theories start with so although we'll talk later stage what they are, all the three, but you should know that they say that character is the main important aspect of human behavior. Each philosophy has its golden rule, golden principle, you can understand, although they have their own way to tell. So what they say that human character, they say that if we are able to build good human character, so then the rest will take care of. Because if a human has good character, the human will have good behavior. Possibility is that, or it is an established standard now. Can it be established standard? Yes. UPSC is looking also for not only meritorious students, but also good character. It also looking for good character. That's why interview is also there. That's why ethics paper itself has been introduced. Yes. In any such organization recruitment, do you think they also look for good character? all higher appointments, why they want people with integrity? This, why they want people with integrity? Because there is a presumption that if we have people with integrity, they will do justice with that institution. Can we say? So how you will get people with integrity? You have to nurture good character. You have to build good character in society. Thus, that character is one such established standard. Let's say. This means if we have people with good character, so there is a possibility that they will have good behavior. This, although they will have their own philosophy which will talk. This virtue ethics is nothing but people with good character. Those people who have good character, they can be considered virtuous people. They can be considered virtuous people. This, and that is what, let's say, their philosophy based on. So they were trying to explain. This is how someone is writing. This Shilam Param Bhushanam. One slok you can say that. The Shilam Param Bhushanam means character is the most important virtue of civil servants. This. It is also written at Labas. This. So that way you can say this one explanation. Next comes, let's say that. Deontology. The deontology is nothing but science of can't. Action should be end in. ये बहुत बड़ी फिलॉसफी है और इनफैक्ट सबसे बड़ी फिलॉसफी. हर उस एक्शन को आप इवैल्यूएट करो जो आप करते हैं. क्या आप एक्ट कर रहे हैं इसलिए कि आप एक्ट करना चाहते हैं या एक्ट इसलिए कर रहे हैं कि आप उससे कुछ बेनिफिट उठाना चाहते हैं? नो. तो क्या आप बेगर्स को इसलिए दे रहे हैं हेल्प सो दैट कि आपको सेटिस्फैक्शन मिले? यू वांट टू हेल्प. This, it is a very big philosophy. So it is another, let's say, established standard. Your action should be end in itself rather than there should be creation of means and ends. But is it possible? Criticism we are not talking yet. But do we act simply because we want to act? This. But it is very recognized philosophy. Gita also talks. Nishkam karma. Mahatma Gandhi also talks. Means should guide your end. Isn't it? So lots of similarity you can have. So it is another established standard. Why he has set logics, etc. I will explain later. Then utilitarian. Now, pleasure pain principle. Pleasure pain principle, this is how we have this. The pleasure pain, it is pleasure pain principle. So in that pleasure pain principle, our day-to-day life is governed, isn't it? We follow it. The things bring pleasure, you follow. The things bring, let's say, pain, you avoid. Can we say? Right. So basically, outcome of the action. We are concerned about pleasure pain means outcome driven behavior, outcome driven behavior. Yes. So that we have. And then last is contract adherence. Contracts. Contract adherence, Hobbes, Locke. Right. So someone was saying marriage is a contract. Right? The contract से दोनों bound होते हैं, husband and wife. Our many a time moral behavior is guided by contract. The contract guides moral behavior. Can we say? Yes. Moral behavior. कैसे करता है? Wait for details. This. And the last is contemporary. Contemporary John Rawls. So we'll talk you separately. This. So we'll talk about John Rawls. He's a contemporary contractarian. Plus we'll also talk feminist ethics. They will serve as largely the core aspect of your ethical understanding. They will build, they will work, they will provide a groundwork for this ethics paper. And they will bring in you that ethical thinking, critical thinking, this, and you get some established standards. Established standards are not the way you were expecting, कि honesty होगा, integrity होगा, वो भी है. But they have set some standards, which are not just defined in one or two terms. Rather, they are defined in terms of certain logics and certain reasoning behind that. Like character, how we can build good character. Their philosophy will focus on building a good character. This, wherever you have to build good character, their philosophy is helpful. Now, we have to understand why humans should act selflessly. Means selfless behavior. This, why you should act selflessly. It will help you understanding that. And then selflessness becomes a universal standard. Then let's say the pleasure and pain principle that we have told. And this is nothing but self-interest. So why you should behave on the basis of self-interest. This, and that is another universal standard. Then contract is another universal standard. Right. And justice itself is another. Justice as fairness, another universal standard. So when we talk established standards, if your character and conduct means any such behavior that you have, that behavior conforms to selflessness, self-standard, contracts, or fairness in conduct, can be considered ethical. This. if your behavior conform to them. Otherwise, it can be considered moral, it can be considered religious, it can be considered social norm-based, but not ethical. That is how ethics says. The ethics sets high standard. This high standard in human behavior. That's why it is difficult to also adhere. Is it like that? That way we can consider. I will just summarize few lines. Let's write on that. We'll leave you read. See, subjective is not so subjective that we can become so subjective. Right. So yes, it is subjective, well understood. बट वो इतना भी सब्जेक्टिव नहीं है कि हम बोले कि हम फेयर नहीं हो सकते. Isn't it? This is slide. Since ethics is based on established standards, ethics is based on established standards. Anything cannot be considered ethical. Anything cannot be considered ethical although it can be considered moral or legal. Although it can be considered moral or legal. Moral or legal. The established standards are normative standards set by philosophers belonging to first virtue ethics, next deontology, next teleology, next contractarians, next theory of justice. They have provided by and large universal standards or principles which work as guide for ethical conduct. Even if they have differences, still they are considered acceptable standards in society. And they're applied in different walk of life. For instance, when Supreme Court gave judgment, transgender as third gender, it referred philosophies of Aristotle, Kant, Aristotle, Kant, John Rawls, and Amartya Sen. John Rawls and Amartya Sen. So just for today, this much. Hope you will have your understanding, and the first class goes in that way only, right? That explaining the things here and there, talking what is ethics, or let's say how we determine it. The real class starts from tomorrow, especially when we'll start again defining it, talking these each theory, what they are saying. That will give you better sense the day we reach to John Rawls. By the time you'll understand them, what are those established standards. This. And that is how all people, those who are at responsible positions, they are bound by them. They become bound by them. They are the unwritten rules which guide you in your decision. Like say transgender decision. इवन जो गे वाला राइट है वो भी इन्हीं के फिलॉसफी से वो टुमारो वो से कि लीगल हो जाएगा. अभी तो वो मान लो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने गवर्नमेंट की बात मान ली है, राइट, बट इट इज नॉट सस्टेनेबल. अ टाइम विल कम दैट दे विल लेट से दैट कि सो कोई भी चीज आप समझ रहे हो कि लॉ है वो, बट वो लॉ नहीं है, उसके पीछे एथिक्स है. किसी भी चीज को अगर लॉफुल आप बोल रहे हो ना, तो जब तक वो एथिकल नहीं है वो लॉफुल नहीं है. ठीक है, नाउ एक बार वो लॉफुल आज हो गया और फिर सोसाइटी थोड़ा एडवांस हो गई, तो जब एडवांस हो गई तो फिर वो लगता है कि वो लॉ थोड़ा आउटडेटेड हो गया. बट व्हेन ए न्यू लॉ इज ब्रॉट, इट इज ब्रॉट व्हेन इट इज एथिकल. That is what we have to understand. That's why largely we should adhere by law.